Hello? Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you for the feedback. Oh, Jennifer, welcome. And thanks for the feedback. I hope you can hear me clearly. There is no echo. Okay. Okay. Once again, you're all welcome to this webinar on on dashboards. Okay. Thanks for the feedback. We're welcome to this webinar on dashboards and dynamic charts in Excel. So I'm going to take you through what dashboards are and the concept. But first of all, I want to show you a kind of a big example, but I'm sure it will drive home the point of what I mean. Okay, so I'm going to take you through I'll take you through some practice files which we'll use throughout this training. The my Excel, I think I installed a lot of things, so it's taking a while. So while it's opening, I'll first, as you can see at the background, this stock analysis dashboard. This is a classic example of what a dashboard is. It's something that I'm coming. Let me see if the Excel is up. Okay, still loading. All right. So while that loads, let me quickly run us through what a dashboard is. Maybe I'll show you the data from in here. Number one, a dashboard is a visual representation of all the important things in your about a system, an organization, a department, a report, an entity. So let's say I work in the finance department in maybe a manufacturing company. As a finance analyst, I'm supposed to show at the end of the month the financial state of the company, right? I'll be doing a lot of reports. I'll be doing reports maybe by different category of expense. Which expenses went to marketing? Which expenses were for? Okay, thank you for the feedback. Which expenses were While for operations, which expenses went to maintenance. So essentially I'll have many different types of reports, but at the end of the month I should be able to give a report that shows across board what had happened in the entire organization. Another example could be maybe you're in marketing, you are head of sales or marketing in your organization. Again, at the end of month, a quarter, you want to show how your whole sales operations have been across the different product lines. So the problem that you will face if you don't know dashboard is that you will have your reports in different entities, like different, you will have, if it's in Excel, you have different Excel for each report. But what will make more sense is for you to have all your reports together in one, in form of a dashboard, something that ties every important thing together and shows you how you're doing. And again, maybe you already even have a large report that captures all what you want. You will have a problem if you don't know dashboard, how to present everything in a concise visual way. I'll show us an example. Let me check if the Excel is fully open. Okay, great. So let's see one example, the one behind this one you're looking at, the data behind this. So I'm going to show you the data. It's this one, stock analysis. Because of the streaming software I'm using, my system is a little slow because that software takes a lot of it sucks a lot of power. Okay, great. So here I have reports by each line of financial statement in a company. So take for instance, I'm a stock analyst, right? So I've gathered reports about revenue of all the companies interested in. So I have report of revenue, of gross profit of each company, net income, total asset, current asset, total liability, current liability. These are many. I have every important detail about a company. If you are in the business of investment, I have all of this here, right? If you relate this to your own particular scenario, it could be different products. You sell product A, product B. So at the end of each operations period, reporting period, you have separate data gathered already about each different products. It could be each different department. If you are in finance, it could be each different also department. If you are in HR, it could be each different region. If you are a sales analyst, it could be each different unit of your company if you make reports that go straight to management, right? Now, how do you present all of these reports that are a lot and are all separate, each separately existing? How do you make something that ties them all together and shows in a visual way what is happening? So beyond just this report, right, I also have another one in a completely different Excel file. So again, it might not all be in the same file. This is one file. You could also have another set of reports in a completely different Excel file. So this, it's opening, but once it's open, you'll see what it has. I have for each different stock, okay, so this is it. So I have for each different company that we are analyzing, their last 5 years price, last 5 years stock price, right? So again, this is a lot. There are about 60 companies in here, and I have for each one of them the different stock price. How will I be able to make one report that ties all of these together in a way that you look at? So how can I go from this that you're looking at to something like this, where you have everything in a very compact way? I can take a look at all of the companies. So all the 60 different companies are all showing. I can pick which one I want to analyze, and the moment I click on it, my whole chart changes to show me what's the revenue for this particular company, what's the net income, what are the main things that matter to me as the decision maker. what are the main things management will want to see. Not everybody is interested in seeing the raw data, the boring figures. They want to see something very dynamic, something visual, something they look at and they get a good idea of what is happening, right? So that is what dashboard is all about. Going from the boring data, complex boring data, to something visually appealing that ties together all the important aspects of your report and present them, right? So I have a dashboard covering the different important aspects of these entire operations. This is a stocks analysis. I'm going to show us another example, then we'll start one from scratch. So I'm going to go into my Excel folder. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to open I have an example here. It's a real life work, something that I like using real life works and things that you can easily relate with. Okay, so here is an example. So again, this is almost this was a real job I did, but it's a demo data, right? So we have gathered for different years, as you can see, between 2000 and 2011. So these are different years. We've gathered for by each industry, so different industries are represented in here. I want you to key, as I'm giving these examples, I want you to relate them to your own type of operations, what you do, that reports you make, data you work on that are probably in this format. They are large, there's a lot of information in there, and you're having problem with how you present them visually, right? So here I'm going to put a filter in this so you can get a good idea of what it's in here. So again, this is the year. These are 11 different, I think 12 years, 2000 to 2011, and then different industries in here. So we have different industries. In your own case, it could be different products, different areas you cover, different regions, different departments, different employee type. Again, the main issue here is there's a lot of them information, and you have gathered in front them from your SAP, your ERP system, your accounting software, and this is a lot. How do you present what is happening in here? How do you go from something like this to something like this, where you can pick on what you want to see and everything changes? Okay, so I'm going to also bring out another example. Okay, for those of you who have come for our training, this will be an example you should be familiar with. So I'm going to bring it up. It's the one we use a lot in the training class. No, not this one. Okay. I have so many things open, especially the software doing the recording. It sucks a lot of system resources, so anytime I switch it on, it makes every other thing work slowly. Alright, so here's another example. This is the one now for you to grasp, especially if you're a Nigerian. The data in here, so mirroring, if you work for the Ministry of Finance in Nigeria, then at the HQ, at least on a quarterly basis, or half a year basis, you will get data. You will have to do a report of internally generated revenue by each state in the country, right? So here is an example of what it will look like. We have the different 36 states, including FCT, so that will be 37, right? And then you will do a total to show for Nigeria whole, so revenue by states, but as a whole, all the states together. And then for each state, you've gotten from the ministry of the commissioner in each state, you've gotten this data for each of the states and the revenue figure by each month. So these are the internally generated revenue of each state, right? Now it must have taken you a lot of work to get to this final. How do you present? You need to give some visual what is happening. You need to let it be, you need to let the message come across easily, and that's what charts allow us to do, right? So typically I would like to use you could choose between a line chart or a column chart. So let's present. I come in here, if I want a column chart. This is one of the problems you'll get. Whenever you have a amount of data, your report is a lot. You are trying to put a visual component to it. The issue you face is a lot of times the charts will come out clumsy because you have many data points. So the regular charts that will have worked if what we had was just one state. So let's take, say, one state. The chart that will have been really good, will have brought out the insight, the value in our information in the analysis. This is a really good chart showing so showing by month the performance, and you can see from this chart that Abia State at the start of the year the revenue wasn't steady, dropped, went up, dropped, and then towards the middle of the year it went up, right? Whoever is reviewing this will be able to make better decisions. Will be able to say, oh, what happened between February and what happened in February, March, April? What happened? Was there any anything of interest that caused this unusual, that caused this unexpected pattern, right? You'll be able to ask the questions that in a in an operating business they will drive decisions, right? But by looking at these figures, that will be very difficult for you to discover this pattern, and that's why having a visual component to your report gives it a lot more value, makes it easier for the decision makers to see the insight in your report. And dashboard is all about that. Whenever your normal chart will not be enough, like I've explained, whenever you have a large amount of data, your normal chart will not be enough to show the insight. They will become very clumsy. You will find it difficult for you to use the regular charts you use. So how are we going to use a dashboard to fix this problem? It's the same concept we'll learn here that will help us to fix also a problem. It will also help us to fix this type of a problem also. In this case, the data we have is even running to, you wouldn't want to use a chart for this. You wouldn't want to use your regular column, pie, line chart, because you have 1,200 data points, and not just, that's just the number of rows, multiplied by how many things you want to chart. If you want to chart for all of this, that is 1,200 multiplied by 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's even draw a chart for about, let's do a chart for this. You will see just these few lines. If I do a chart for it, you're going to see how crowded the report will look like. I mean, the chart will look like. In fact, because some of the figures are really tiny, but I hope you can see. You will notice there are some really tiny stuff beside these tall ones, right? It will be difficult for anyone to see what's happening in this chart. Even if I try and use a combo chart, move some things to secondary label, but I hope you get the message I'm trying to pass across here. Dashboard is basically for this kind of reports where the data are a lot, and if you try to use the regular pie chart, column chart, line chart out of the box, you will have an issue of your chart being clumsy. So we're going to use a dashboard to fix that problem. Specifically, that's what they're meant for, to show what's happening in a complex system. If you take your car for instance, it's a very complex system, but whenever you enter the car, you look at the dashboard, you get a good idea of what is happening about the most important thing in your car. What's the fuel level, what's the engine state, and all those things that you need to be aware of at every point in time, right? That's the same thing a dashboard does. It shows you the most important things in your complex report. Okay. Wow. I think it should. Okay. All right. Wow. Okay, sorry for the break in transmission. I think let me just confirm it now. Okay. Let's see. Okay. All right. Okay. So let me just check. Okay. All right. I think it's visible now. Okay. So sorry for this recap from where I was about to start the practice. So thank you for those who stayed, who bared with us. The using this YouTube live, it's taking some time to adjust. It's almost like one has to be. Okay. Thank you for the feedback. All right. So without wasting so much of your time, we still have about 20 minutes more. So I've established that the ordinary chart won't work for this, right? So I'm going to show us the trick about how you make a dashboard really quick. I'll start with a simple one. So normally you do your dashboard on a separate sheet because everything in it should be automated. So basically the data in here will be feeding the dashboard. Okay, and one of the most I find it, especially for a one table report like this. There are two ways. Number one is you either use a pivot table to quickly build something that helps you to visualize what is happening, or you can do a very simple Vlookup and data validation list. So I'm going to show us the two ways. I'll start with the validation one for this as an illustration. So let's use the data validation for this one. So I'll take the first data row with the header, So I'll use that as the framework for the dashboard. So I'll come in here, I can paste it here. So I'm going to try to maintain the row header. Okay, great. And then what I'll do is I'll make this dynamically linked to the data sheet, and I'll put in here like a drop down. It's actually, I'll put a data table, I mean a data validation list in here. So I'll come to data validation list, and I'll go pick in here all the different states, including all. So I'll add, able to create a sort of a drop down that shows each state. Next is I want to pull the figures. So whenever you pick a state, there will be a formula in here that will pull out the figures for you, right? So I'm going to use Vlookup for that. Look for this. If you are new to Vlookup, you can go through via my YouTube channel. You'll see use videos on each of all the components I'm using here: charts, Vlookup. You can just go through the videos I already have on my channel. Okay, so I'm going to pick January figure. January figure is on the second column. Okay, I'm going to do a quick, instead of repeating this formula, I'll quickly replicate them. Pick the third, pick February. If this is feeling too complex for you, then just you might just hold on for when I use the pivot table for the other example. So I'm going to use pivot table for the other one. Pivot table is a lot more straightforward, though you might sacrifice some flexibility, but in the end you get what you want quickly. And if you have a lot more tables, in this case we have just one report table. What if you have many other ones, like the one I showed us where I had all the different companies in each sheet? How do I tie them together? In that case, this simple approach might not work. But for some of us that our data sets, the reports we do, the final reports we do sometimes are already being aggregated into one giant table, this will always work, I can assure you of that. All right, so what's left is now I'm going to put a chart to this. The chart I feel is more appropriate. If I'm interested in showing how we do each month, then column chart will make a lot of sense. If I want to show how we've been changing the trend, then I'll use a line chart. So let's use column chart for this. I could decide to use the 3D. Okay, and I'll give it some design. Just bear with my screen. It's that software is really system intensive. The webinar too. With time, everything will get suited out. Takes experience getting used to most of this tech stuff. So once the style I'm looking for, once it comes up, I'll pick it and we'll be done with this. Let me click outside. This is not what I want. Okay. Let me see if I can switch off some things. Maybe this. Okay, so I'll pick these. I'll fill the wall with maybe I shouldn't have tried 3D with the designs. Okay, let me click on this again. Okay, so that worked. Just one more thing, the floor. I'll do the same filling for the floor. Okay, so I can have something that looks good. I can increase the size of this. Okay, so this is a very quick one that I find works consistently whenever you have just one table report. Even if you have two table reports, there's a trick that you can use to make it work. Okay, so this is an example of a dashboard. How do you know this is a final dashboard? Again, all the insights in this report, everything anyone would like to know about what happened in the whole Nigeria, each state by state revenue from January to June. By coming in here, you can pick whatever, you can select whatever state you want, and you instantly see everything change to show that, and it's all in one screen. And again, you don't have that clumsiness you get when you try to. So what kind of dashboard? I will use the pivot table approach for this one. So I'll use the pivot table approach for this. Again, what I have in here is a large amount of data. I can't use one chart for it, and I want to do a dashboard because essentially, like I explained, a dashboard allows you to show the most important thing about your report and captures the entire large report. So I'm going to put a pivot table into this. The easiest, let me remove the filter. Okay, the quickest way is to click anywhere in your original report, go to insert, pivot table, and then just verify that I selected everything correctly. And once you click on OK, it comes in here. In case if I did that too fast, let me repeat the steps. Again, if you are new to pivot table, you can check any of my videos, but let me do it again. I go to insert, pivot table. The moment I click on pivot table, it's going to try to select the entire table for me. So usually it figures out the table, and as you can see by these blue border lines, it figured out my entire table. So I'm going to accept and say okay, yeah, it's selected all what I need, and it will bring it this is the pivot table report layout. Okay, so if you are the owner of this data, what are the things you would like to see? What are the important things about this? Actually, this was for a stock analyst, a financial investment analyst, and they do this to analyze industry by industry. So I think they invest into a basket of companies in each industry. So the thing for them is not about which company to invest in, but rather which industry to invest in right now. So they do industry based analysis, and they've gathered the data for all the industries. What you would like to see will be number of firms in each industry. So this will be very important. So the industry that the number of firms are increasing over the years, it shows that something is happening in that industry. Maybe it's growing. An industry where the number of firms are reducing, will show you is it consolidating, or maybe the industry is no longer profitable and people are exiting. And again, for him, all these figures you are seeing, all these fields, they make a lot of business decision sense for him. He would like to see the profit margin. He will prefer to invest in an industry where there is a higher profit margin than one where maybe there is even a negative profit, companies in there are making a loss. Also, expected growth. What are the analysts projecting for growth? Again, you will want to invest in an industry where the growth projection is higher, than is high compared to an industry where the growth projection is really low. So this, let's say for now, that is very interested in seeing number of firms, the net margin, expected growth rate, and let's take one more thing. So let's take let me see which would be much more useful. Should we take enterprise value per sales? Okay, let's take enterprise value to sales. Like, what's the current market valuation compared to the annual sales of the company. So we're going to take those 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we'll say those are the important things we want to be able to see at a glance. We want to put in our final dashboard, so whoever is looking at this report can see all of that and across all the industries, right? Again, we have over 1000 data line rows. Okay, again, I'll go back to the pivot table, and based on that, I would like to want to analyze them yearly, right? So I'll bring year to row, so that way I have the different years listed here. And then we want to do industry analysis, like one industry at a time. So I'll bring industry to filter, and you can see I'm getting, without having to do that data validation or do anything complex, I'm already getting the drop down feature, the ability to drill down to what I want. I'm interested in this particular industry. I click on it, and by the time I'm done, you will see the effect it will have on the other data points. So I'm going to take, we're interested in number of firms, so I'll bring number of firms to value, and so this will show number of firms, right? I'm also interested in, we already agreed that we're interested in net margin, so I'll bring net margin there, but net margin, I want it to be average, so I want the calculation on net margin to be average. Okay, just checking if you are all still following. Okay, all right, so I just dropped the message to check if you're all still following. You can reply, just let me know if the connection goes off again. I have 3 different internet access here, but again, this is Nigeria. Things, all the 3 sometimes can fail at the same time. So this will be for net margin. I'll prefer to have the net margin show as a fraction, right? Okay, and then we also want to see the expected growth. I'm not getting any feedback from anyone, so let me check myself to be sure that all is still okay. Great. Great. All right, so the same thing too for expected growth. I'm going to want to see expected growth as average, and then the last one, the enterprise value by sales. Okay, so for these I will also, it will be average, and this, let's just make it 2 decimal points. So gradually we are coming to we've built the skeleton of the dashboard. So whoever you can pick whatever industry you want to, and you want to see, you want to drill pay attention to, check what's happening in there, and you pick the industry, and all of these figures will change to reflect what's in the industry. You can say you want to see for everything, and instantly you get everything show for the whole data point. Okay, so I'm going to wipe off grand total. So I'm going to switch off grand total. Okay, I'm going to change this to years, to year. I'm going to change this to number of firms. So those are just some of the little things you might need to do when you use pivot table, but as you can see, it gets things done really fast compared with me having to manually build this in the dynamic. I call it it's more of you building a dynamic table, and on top of this we will include a chart. Okay, So let's pick the air transport industry. All right. If you want to change the table design, these are some of the things you get with pivot table. You can pick whichever design you like. Maybe the company's corporate color is blue, and you can say you want it banded rows. You have a lot of flexibility with the design aspect. Okay, so let's say we are okay with this. I'm going to switch off grid lines. Okay, so if I'm okay with the outlook as it is, because of time I can't do too much on design, so we can focus a lot more on the core aspect of what I'm showing us. I can then select everything and build a chart. So I'm going to say, for this I'm going to use a combo chart for this. So I'm going to pick on this. I'll choose combo chart, and what I'll do is I'll put number of firms as clustered column. Yes, column. A net margin, I'll make a line, and then I'll put net margin, expected growth, enterprise value per sales. I'll move them to a secondary axis. Okay, and so this should do it for me. All right, and I like to switch off the field buttons. And one more thing, I'll move the legend. I'll move it, where will be good? I'll move it down. Okay, and I'll add a chart title, and I'll make the chart title equal to so make the chart title equal to whatsoever industry I've selected in there. All right. Okay, something just went wrong here. Okay, so let me equal to this. All right, so that's done again. And one last thing, if you use a pivot table for your for the base of your dashboard, then you will like to switch off this field list, so it doesn't keep popping in and out. So this is with pivot table. And the other things you get with pivot table is you get slicer, and if I have more than one table, so what I mean is if I have more than one table, I have maybe another table that captures something else. With pivot table, you can add them to, you can link the tables together, so as you change one, you can pick data from all the tables together. So I will show you a more advanced way of doing that with Power BI, right? So, but you get whatever I want to show us next can also be done using pivot table to link up different tables together. So one last thing I will show us here before I go to Power BI is a slicer. So you might want to include a slicer, this filter here, as a slicer. So I'll show you what a slicer is. I'm going to pick the industry name. So the moment I click on that I want industry name, I clicked on slicer industry name, and so I can now have it this way, right? So I could decide not to use this, whichever one. I click on apparel, and everything will change to show for that one I clicked on. It's taking time, it will come. Yeah, so you can see it's all changed. If I pick another industry, I pick on maybe utility or trucking. So let's take tire and rubber. You see everything change. So this is a quick way of making a dashboard. If I had more tables, It's the same concept. It's just tying the tables together that will be the additional thing I will do, right? So you can see how easily I have created a visualization for over 1200 rows. So if you have reports that are so large, that are similar to these, and maybe because you've not been you found out that the chart will not work well, you've not been putting charts there, then you should stop. Right now you've learned all you need to be able to put a simple dashboard to it. I've shown you using data visualization, data validation lists using Vlookup. I've also shown you now using pivot table. So the next one I'll show you is using Power BI. So this is Power BI. It's easy to install. Once you install, this is you go to, let me show you where you can install it. If you go to powerbi.com, you can download the Power BI. Just scroll down and it used to be right here. Yes, so you click on the Power BI desktop and then you download it, right? So download. I have downloaded, and once you install, you'll get it this way. And I'm going to use this to show you how to put together a complex dashboard. You could have done this with pivot table, but if I try to do that with pivot table, we'll be here for the next 2 hours. And this allows you, this is a lot more flexible. That's why I want to show you with this. If you have a lot of sheets, tables, different files, different reports coming from there, and you want to do a dashboard, I will recommend you use this, except if you want your dashboard to live in Excel, then because this you can also export, you can save it as PowerPoint. The only problem with this is if the person would like to have the dashboard in Excel, then no, you have to use the pivot table approach. But if that is out of the window, if that is not a big deal, then this would be good. If you are probably going to put this in a final presentation, a PowerPoint, or even a demo, or if the person doesn't mind having a Power BI, you can also share with them. They have all the flexibility of seeing these. It's just if the person is really serious about just only Excel, that you might not want to use this. Okay, but this is by Microsoft also too. So what I've done is I've brought in all the different reports. So I've brought in the UBA report. If you look at my right here, you will see the different reports. I've brought in all of them. There are a lot. There are about, I think, 60 different tables. So they are all in here. These are reports from different, in my case, different companies. In your own case, it could be different departments, different units, about different products. And how do I take these boring looking reports? How do I take all of them and create something very attractive like this? And this is what with Power BI you achieve with ease, right? As you can see, I've done one here. I'm going to just replicate it. So I'm going to create a new page, and then I'm going to, so I want to add a slicer, so I'm going to click on a slicer, and I'm going to add the different companies. So I have a ticker, so I'm going to add the different companies as a slicer by their unique code. Okay, so this gets me the different companies together as something I can scroll down. So you can see this is the equivalent of this, right? What you're looking at here, this is functionally the same as this. Next is I want to add, let me add a column chart. So this is a column chart. Okay, so I can choose to say I want to see let's take revenue. So I'm going to take revenue. So I want to see the revenue across different years, financial years, the company, and then its revenue. So let's make this big. So what will happen again, this looks really crowded. In real life you would not want to see all of them at the same time, so that's why you have this filter, this slicer. You pick on the one you want to see, and I can see instantly that this is the revenue pattern for the last how many years, 11 years for 7up. So 7up has grown revenue by, you know, impressively. And if you want to change the way the calculation is done, sum is what we want anyway, so this is perfect. If I want to see for Access Bank, I choose for Access Bank, and instantly I see what's the revenue pattern for Access Bank. If I want to see for, so let's pick maybe Zenith Bank, I choose and I see, I think these figures are in billions. I need to, if you want to change the way the figures display, like if I wanted to show as naira, so it makes life easy and people can see instantly what these values are without having to guess anything, I can make that change. So I'm going to pick total, and then I'll go into total's revenue file. I'm going to, okay, total, okay, so revenue, and then value. I would say I want, so for currency I'm going to give it naira. Okay, so that will work in an instant now. So these are all in millions, so now they should be in billions. Millions, okay, so that should, it should pick from there instantly. Let me verify. So I'll put back table, and then again attribute company, and alright, so you see this is wrong. It should be in it's because the figures already come in millions already, in thousands I mean, so this should have been in millions, 250 million, and like that. Okay, so I'll make the change to that, but you get the whole way it works. So this is total's revenue, and it's been growing. If I click on another one, so the essence of this is all these bulky reports. I have shown you what the Excel one looked like. The Excel figures, these are the reports in Excel. Many files, so you can see there's so many sheets. I've been able to tie them all together in a meaningful way here, and I can present each group of metrics at the same time. The P&L, profit, net income. Then I move on to the total assets, the liabilities. So I'm able to present in a way you can interact with without being bogged down with the raw details, with the raw data, all the insights in the underlying data. And this is easily done with Power BI. If you're interested in learning how to do this with Power BI, there's another video which I have done that takes you through this. It's about 1 hour 30 minutes video, and but the main aim of today is to show you how at least you can this, and also this one using pivot table. So these two ones you can easily use. They are there in Excel and you already have those functionality. So do you have, let me check if there are any questions before we round up today's session. Okay, so let me check. Okay, any question? Any question before we round it off for this month? Okay, so if there are no questions, I guess we'll round off today. So thank you, and especially sorry for the technical glitch using YouTube Live. YouTube Live is a new feature, and it's new, and YouTube also is, the old setting up is almost as if you are building a software. You have to install different components, almost do some sort of programming, but it delivers the job. So I guess with time we'll get to. Oh, so there's a question. Oh yes, I will edit the videos online. So yes, thank you for that. I'll edit the video online. I'll cut out the problematic places so people can rewatch and they get to see everything without all those awkward breaks. So once again, thank you very much. Hope to see you next month. If you also have something in mind you want us to cover next month, please share. Maybe there's a particular topic you would like me to cover next month. I'll be glad to look it up and see if I can come up with something for you regarding that. So thank you very much, and see you next month. Okay, so I'm going to stop the video.